Hey, that's him happily dancing around in his mask there. Just thought I'd show that off. I really have no idea what a Skulled kid does, really, but sort of wait around and just wait for people to give him stuff. But yeah, that's what he's done, and he's really enjoying it. So at least that's that. Yeah. Anyway, Fear the Meerkat here, and welcome to another episode of my Legend of Zelda Let's Play of the Ocarina of Time Master Quest. Now, I'm not gonna plant a magic bean here because though it does let you get up to something higher, there isn't a heart piece or another gold Skulltula up there. There's just rupees up there, and by the time that you can actually use it, 6 years in the future, although of course that's not actually literally 6 years for us. You don't really need rupees. There comes a certain point when you don't really need them, but there are loads of them around anyway. It's a bit pointless. There you go. I didn't create it. She has nothing important to say to us now. We don't need her now. Really. Not sure how much we did to begin with. I'll cut out a lot of the wandering around again. We're going to start off just with planting some magic beans and managing to get some more gold Skulltulas. I have no idea why I accidentally ended up talking to this guy. Doesn't appear to be wearing a watch, but he knows the exact time. Down to exact minutes. I have no idea why I was giving us orders either. Why he assumes that the only reason I would go to the graveyard is to speak to Dampé. I mean, unless you actually work as a gravedigger yourself, if you're going to a graveyard, you're not doing it because you're interested in speaking to the gravedigger. Really, are you? I have no idea why throwing bugs down there causes a gold Skulltula to come out. Maybe there's no longer room for it down there. I don't know how it managed to get out of such a small hole, really. You can see that kid who wants to be Dampé happily playing in his mask there. I have made people happy with these masks. Theoretically. Now he's just gonna keep on saying hey till we talk to her. Unfortunately. And we somehow magically transported ourselves to this location without having to do any walking or running or cartwheeling in between. Isn't that incredible? Planting magic beans here actually comes in incredibly useful because it helps you a lot with the big Goron sword side quest later. Bit of foreshadowing there. Sort of. Anyway, Navi was telling us earlier about the Great Fairy, so I suppose we ought to go and visit her in a second. And just to shut her up, I suppose I could have edited everything Navi says out of the video. I would still be forced to read it. Speaking of editing, I haven't cut a lot out of this episode, except just the travelling around. Most of it is just me doing things and occasionally making mistakes. But I did rather well in this particular playing, this playage, if you will, of this part of the game. Didn't really mess anything up, so that's nice. Unfortunately, that bomb doesn't explode on impact. Normally, I was just lucky with my timing there, but what normally happens is you need to get the timing right for that bit. And this happened entirely by accident. I wasn't aware that there was a cave here with something helpful inside it, but apparently there was. So that's just serendipity there. Which, if you don't know what it means making a fortunate discovery by accident. We are going to need those rupees. To be fair, that's a fairly realistic looking sun considering when this game was made. Now, the only real way to do this next bit without getting any damage is to walk the shield forwards like this. Makes it slower, but never mind. Ah, How Green Was My Tunic, the lesser known sequel to How Green Was My Valley. If you get too close to these things whilst they're climbing, they do attack you, so you really need to take care of them now. It's fortunate that this mountain, whilst it was sort of being slowly eroded over time, as mountains are, should happen to have developed things that human hands can usefully grip to climb up it. Helpful and slightly suspicious. Almost they're just there to make the game easier to play. Have I ever mentioned that that R was friggin' huge? Because it is. It's massive. Also, if that word offends you, I apologise for using the slightly less offensive F word. I was told not to use it once. I have no problem with it myself. Now what do we do every time we see the Triforce? Now, bear in mind this is an E-rated game. Now, I'm sure not the first person to say this, but she is extremely curvy for an E-rated character, I have to say, and it's quite startling. And I'm not really sure why this quad shot is necessary here either. Something for the dads, I suppose. Freaky. I don't know, maybe the sword spin attack is some sort of phallic thing. I hope not. And at last we got a magic meter. Not that we've been particularly looking forward to a magic meter, but we do. So there you go. Anyway, enough of my blathering on about things that are unimportant. I'm going to blabber on about something else that's equally unimportant. I was talking about Link's Awakening and my opinion of that. I think I got as far as saying that it doesn't quite have the edge, the magic, whatever you want to call it, of the previous game, A Link to the Past. But it's still a good game. It's a lot of the sort of puzzles and dungeons and side quests that you can do are interesting. I like the idea of it's sort of there's a bit where you go into a cave by lying on a bed and falling asleep. It's not quite clear whether you're asleep or not, because you collect items in there and when you wake up they're still there, but at the same time you get into it by lying in the bed and sleeping. So was it a dream or not? Who knows? I quite like that bit. I thought that worked. I thought sort of the mystery of what is the windfish exactly worked. I thought there's something a bit sort of philosophical about it as a game. Now, the amount of time you have in here is based on the amount of hearts that you have. I think it's about 10 seconds per heart, basically. So if you're gonna come in here without the red tunic, which you'll get later, then it's best to do it when you've got more than 3 hearts, or you really don't have long at all. These bombs aren't that helpful. I tried to find something else in here. I could have sworn there was at the absolute minimum a Skulltula and a heart piece in here, but I couldn't find them. So I just edited out my sort of pointless wandering around the cave and trying to find something helpful. We'll need to go back in there later, but then we'll have the red tunic, so I suppose what I say, it was philosophical. It was just always my interpretation of Link's Awakening, and forgive me for spoilers if you haven't played it, but it was always my interpretation that the windfish, the sleeping thing you have to wake, is actually Link, and Link fell asleep on that beach, fell into a coma, and everything he experienced there was his dreaming, and he had to wake the wingfish up, but in doing this he caused the island to disappear because it had been a dream. So that's almost as unfortunate as falling from a great height and taking damage. Sadly, there's no way you can get to from on top of that roof, as far as I know, without getting the hook shot. Or the long stop, which is kind of the hook shot Mark II. Anyway, at this point I just want to remind you that you can do this. I took some time to collect some rupees, mostly off screen, and you can also do it if you climb up on the other side, but I just wanted to remind you, since it's been several episodes since I last did this, of how to collect lots of rupees. They just respawn in here if you leave and come back. So this is how I managed to get 200 by this point. I can show off a couple more things here, although I'm not going to be able to get all the way through all of them in this episode. And I thought that you could get a gold Skulltula here, but apparently you can't. That's kind of a spoiler alert too. Watch this. You're about to see me fail to get a gold Skulltula to come out of there. And I have no idea why. That one is it's just unique. It's just special in an irritating way. It sort of instantly sprouts and then stays exactly like that, and then in 6 years suddenly turns into something else. Anyway, yeah, we have this guy again, just sitting there eating and charging people ridiculous amounts of cash for things. He's about as helpful as Skullkid, really. I don't think you actually need more than one at this point, but I might as well show this off anyway, so... And apparently he didn't have a lot on them, because as far as I can tell he only sells them to you. I think it's just an excuse to jack up the price, basically. I don't know what he actually says when he completely runs out. I've never bought the ones that cost 70 rupees, because I've never really needed them, and we'd only have 20 rupees left from the 200, so... I was trying to get Navi here to tell us what that thing is, and unfortunately whilst doing so it managed to hit me. I think it's called something like Octorock, that creature, but I'm not entirely sure. These cuckoos obviously don't like people holding them. So that can be really annoying if you end up in the water, because they can manage to run all the way down to the bottom again. and you do need them to go up to whatever that means. Also, you need them to collect everything you can from this area. His head like that looks painful. That's rather awkward. I know there's a gold Skulltula there, but it happened to hit daylight when it disappeared, just at that moment when I got close to it, so... And that's I had to buy this twice for some reason. I don't know why, so I've cut one of them out. Oh no, I haven't. Well, that made me look silly. So yeah, I cut none of them out, but I guess just showed them both off, because I might as well. Anyway, we're coming up to around the end of this episode, so next time I'll be continuing with a couple more side quests and then going into Zora's domain itself. For now, I'll just say goodbye.